I was trapped for a long time. Lived and seen things you couldn't imagine. Now I see things in a different light.
Let me be clear with you guys for just a second, okay? I don't mind leaving some aspects of an operator's lore or history vague. Sometimes leaving a few blank spots in a story can be good. It leaves you wanting to know more, anticipating the little things that make up a story. And it can be nice to have a bit of a question mark about some things. But Maverick from Rainbow Six Siege infuriates me because his whole lore is nothing but question marks. And after a while of seeing nothing but question marks, you really do start to want answers. Either that or you assume you're in a Batman game dealing with the Riddler, but I digress. Here, let me show you how bad this gets. Real name, Eric Thorne. Eric. Maverick. That's where the name comes from. No, there's no, funny name tying into his gadget or anything like that. No, it's a play on his name. Lazy, but whatever. Born in Boston, Eric Thorne was a highly intelligent young man with a gift for languages thanks to his multilingual family. Being super protective, his family were rigid with his upbringing and didn't let Eric even explore the neighborhood he lived in. This led Eric to want an escape, so he enlisted with the U.S. Army out of high school. Now, this is actually where we get our first problem. If his parents were so rigid that they wouldn't even let Eric out to wander the neighborhood, why even let him go to a public school? Why not just homeschool him? What makes them so protective? Is there a reason for it? Now, this one problem on its own isn't a deal breaker for me. It's just a minor little inconsistency that could be easily overlooked. But let's keep going. You're going to love where this goes. He later became an intelligence officer in Kabul. Now, these next few sentences, I'm going to read you directly. I'm quoting from the direct lore here. In fact, here, hold on. Putting it on the screen right now. I'm going to show you what was said. I want you to listen to this carefully, okay? Listen to how choppy this is. Majority of Eric's service was occurred during the war in Afghanistan, where he was involved in 2 operational battles. These are Operation Cobra's Anger and Operation Mostarak. Most of his time in Afghanistan, Thorne was well known in the underground club circuit and even among locals as a proficient buzkashi player. Do they not have editors at Ubisoft's writing department? Do they not? Majority of Eric's service was occurred. Really? The majority of Eric's service was occurred during the war in Afghanistan, where he was involved in 2 operational battles, period. These are Operation Cobra's Anger and Operation Mostarak, period. Most of his time in Afghanistan, Thorne was well known in the underground club circuit. What? Okay, you know what? I'll fix this for you. The majority of Eric's service occurred during the war in Afghanistan, where he was involved in 2 operational battles, Operation Cobra's Anger and Operation Mostarak. During his time in Afghanistan, Thorne became well known among the locals in the underground circuit as a proficient buzkashi player. Magically, I was able to turn that into a much shorter and more concise piece. Now, I know what some of you are about to say. Wow, Raven, way to nitpick grammar errors, you grammar Nazi. Well, here's the thing. Like I said, for one thing, I'm an English teacher. It's kind of my thing. But the other thing, like I said, if this were the only problem, I wouldn't care all that much. But we're not done. Just see how these problems start to pile up. Maverick was eventually enlisted into the Delta Force, in which he became their regional expert. He kept tabs on Americans and journalists, helping get people out of the country if necessary. On one mission, while following the trail of a missing reporter, Maverick went missing, dropping completely off the grid, but was found 2 years later by Knock, who brought him home, and with him, he had enough intel to overthrow an entire insurgency operation. I'm sorry, did you blink and miss that? That's a step too far for me. He disappeared for 2 years and was just randomly found 2 years later by Knock with information to dismantle a major insurgency. Where was he? Where was he found? Who was he with? What insurgency? Who was he targeting? Who kept him alive? Why was Knock looking for him? And what is with Knock popping up in all these extra lore? She just seems to appear constantly recently. Did she know him, maybe? How'd she discover him? Did he let her find him, or was it accidental? What was this intel? All these questions and more will not be answered. but apparently he was exonerated for what we don't know. But he was and still gets accepted into Rainbow, despite us knowing, we don't know any of his battlefield skills, just his intelligence skills. We also know that he was missing for 2 years. We don't know if he's compromised. He was supposedly exonerated, but they're still working through the red tape. Okay, you know what? That's fine. That's fine. There'll be more to his lore, I'm sure. I'm sure we'll get more. Skip ahead to the Night Haven defection. Oh, yeah, were you expecting the lore to dive into his relationships within Rainbow? Who he works well with, who he's close to, the people he doesn't like, maybe any operational disagreements or issues? Nah. Not even the psych profile goes into that. It's mostly Harry rehashing what we already know about him, and that's it. This guy's lore is so empty and so bare that it hardly qualifies as lore. It's more of just an origin story with no real direction or meat to it. His character has no direction, no standing, no presence. According to his psych profile, it says that Maverick's mind and body are here, but his heart is in Afghanistan. Well, great. I guess I'll head over there to see if his lore got stuck there too, because it's sure not here. So yeah, Night Haven defected and Maverick was added to Kavera's team, Ghost Eyes. There you go. That's the lore. That's it. I can't call this a win. This is a cringe in terms of lore. Maverick's lore is nothing, guys. Where it does give us lore, it's either choppily written by someone who didn't run it through an editor, or it's so vague we don't know anything else about Maverick's upbringing. He had multilingual parents. Okay, cool. Why were they so protective of him? What were they worried was going to happen to him? And if they were worried something was going to happen to him, so worried that they wouldn't let him wander his own neighborhood, why let him go to public school? If it's a fear of American institutions, okay, that still doesn't explain why you let him go to high school. That doesn't explain why you did that. Maverick joined the Army. What did he do in the Army? We know that he became an intelligence officer. Okay, how did he do that? Why did he want to go? Why did he love Afghanistan so much? What was it about Afghanistan that he loved so much? What drew him to it? Was it the people there? Did he find a girl there that he fell in love with? He disappeared for 2 years. What was he doing for that 2 years? Why don't we get any answers? Look, here's the thing. If it was one or two little vague points, I wouldn't care. It'd be like, okay, whatever. A little vagueness is fine. A few question marks here and there is okay. But this whole lore is nothing but question marks, and the stuff we do get makes so little sense. And some of it is just choppily written. But you know what? Most of y'all don't care about the lore anyway. Let's talk about his gadget. Maverick's gadget is the exothermic Asuri torch. It's a blowtorch with the ability to burn holes through reinforced walls. By swapping to the torch, Maverick can burn small killing holes, creating new sightlines for himself or his teammates to see through the walls and shoot through them. Conversely, he can open up entryways through walls and side doors to get inside. The benefit of this gadget is its silence and discretion. Enemy operators often will not notice small holes in their defenses and won't hear them being made either. Also, the torch will not be stopped by mute jammers or electrical gadgets. But the downside is that the holes created by the torch can be used by the defenders once noticed, and they will gladly shoot back at you given the chance. It's important to be as discreet as possible, and it's probably best to abandon the holes once you're noticed through them. Now, his loadout is actually pretty sweet, I can't deny that. For his two primaries, the first primary he carries, and the one that I think is probably my favorite, is the AR-15 50 caliber Beowulf assault rifle. It's one of the most fascinating guns in the game. The 50 caliber Beowulf makes this semi-automatic assault rifle functionally a marksman rifle packaged as an assault rifle. It has tremendous hitting power per shot, able to kill in 2 shots at center mass, and with excellent damage drop-off. Its only real drawback is the low magazine capacity for an assault rifle, but given its fast reload and powerful hitting potential, that is negligible at best. This gun is very satisfying. From the hit power to the sound it makes when you go bang, this is a nice gun. and then the M4 assault rifle. It's a by-the-book standard issue gun that is favored by operators. It has higher than average damage per shot, good rate of fire and magazine capacity. It has a sharp recoil though and low damage drop-off, but it is reliable and it beats out the AR as a fully automatic, so if you prefer to spray and pray, the M4 is the preferred option. And trust me, sometimes the spray and pray option is the best strat. It really can help.
Swapping!
Is active, protected at all costs.
And then finally for his handgun, he only has one sidearm, the 1911 Taco PS handgun. And yes, I was not making that up. It is Taco PS. It's a pretty decent handgun with an above average damage per shot statistic as well as decent damage drop off. It does have a strong recoil compared to other handguns with repeated fire, but overall it's a pretty solid handgun to use. I actually do like it.
Bandit and Thunderbird are requesting speed.
The best strategy with Maverick, and the way I look at it, is to be stealthy and to not draw attention to yourself while you make your kill holes in the enemy's reinforced walls. Don't make large holes or entrances right away. In fact, if you can find a wall that is protected by a mute jammer or electrical walls or anything like that, focus on those because those are the ones that the operators will usually not think about. The defenders will usually assume if this wall is electrified, we can just not focus on it. So that's usually the best one you want to go for. Now, what you want to do is make small holes to see through and inspect the area. Look to see what's inside. Then begin picking off targets that haven't noticed you yet. If you see any gadgets inside, hit those too. Maverick is all about turning the enemy's shelter into a tomb, so you want to play that way. Do not play hyper-aggressively. You won't get far. Make sure that what you're doing with Maverick is you are playing carefully, discreetly, and making sure that you pick off people who don't know you're there. In conclusion, Maverick is just an interesting character. Interesting because I don't know what they were thinking when they wrote his lore. It's almost like they just said, we need to release two new operators, Clash and Maverick. And we want to put more of our emphasis on Clash than Maverick, but we need to give him something, so let's just make him a big question mark. Vague is good, right? That's the beauty of the mystery box. Leave a bunch of questions, never give any answers. I'm not satisfied with that. We need at least something. Even if it's just a hint at something. Like, even if you just told us, maybe what you could have done is had it where it's revealed that Maverick's parents were worried that because his family is multilingual or has traveled a lot, he would get picked on. Or maybe they didn't want him to assimilate too much into American culture, but he insisted on going to high school, insisted on getting out of the house, so they let him do it, and that exposure to high school made him want to travel. They didn't like that, so he ran away from home and joined the army. He joins the army, travels to Afghanistan, and at first it's really difficult, really tough, but he meets a beautiful girl there, falls in love with her, runs off to be with her, but over time, maybe the girl either joins up with or gets killed by a insurgency agency, so he decides to go undercover and take out the insurgency. When he's refound by America or by NOC or whoever you want it to be, he decides to use all this information to take down the insurgency, and then with nothing else to do, he decides to join up with Rainbow because he lost the girl that he loved, either because she died or something. I don't know, but you could at least have had something there beyond just vagueness. Anyway, Maverick is a fun operator to pick up, though. I mean, I've sat here and shit-talked his lore plenty, but honestly, his weapons are good, his gadget is good. Honestly, he's a fun operator to play, just a pain to sit through and read. So that's pretty much my take on Maverick. Next time we'll be doing the defending operator, Malusi, and I look forward to doing that with you next time on Rainbow Six Cringe /Win, and I will see you in my next video. Take care.